Now, the newly found peace amongst warring PAC factions seems to have been short-lived. A letter penned by party president Narius Moloto states that due to the failure of office bearers and the NEC to work together in organizing the national conference, he has invoked clause 14.2 of the PAC, and this is now under decree. And this effectively means that the current national executive of the PAC ceases to exist and that an administrator will now be running the party until an elective Congress is held. So on the line for further clarity on this matter, we are joined by PAC President Narius Moloto. Thanks so much for speaking to us and welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you very much and greetings to all the viewers of Morning Live.
Mr. Moloto, now, before the May 8th elections, the PAC's woes were well documented and the party was essentially forced by a judge to try and find some sort of common ground in order for you to contest the elections. So what has gone wrong now?
Nothing much has gone wrong. I mean, it is quite correct that we have had an agreement that so see PAC participating in the national elections, which was good. But there was another process that the two sections, if you like, or the PAC, which elected leadership in Bloemfontein, in Kimberley and in Mpumalanga, they still have to come together as one PAC. And the office bearers were then to combine their data and bring all the lists, all administrative issues. Now they've also to have a roadmap towards the August Congress. This was not happening, and in terms of the court order, the National Congress is due on August. Now we have to, the only mechanism left for us or for me was to make sure that we implement that. And in order to implement that, certain provisions of the Constitution are no longer applicable. So we have to do that. For me, it's not, it does not mean that the agreement is short-lived or the peace is short-lived. It's just a provision to take us to the August National Congress.
So, Mr. Moloto, let me understand this. Is this a unilateral decision by yourself, or are you acting in unison with other party members in coming to this decision?
No. As the party president, once you arrive at a place where, at a point where there's no agreement towards what you need to achieve, you look into what mechanism do you have in your own constitution to achieve that. So, for instance, I've appointed in the administration the former Secretary General of the Kimberley and of the Mpumalanga. So they're all in, everybody's in, to work in order to achieve the same objective of the National Congress. I'll not be personally involved. The administrator and the people that are appointed throughout the provinces, which come from both sections in any way, to work to achieve the National Congress in August, in 2 months' time.
So please explain to the rest of us, what does it actually mean for the party to be placed under decree?
It means that you have reached a point where, like in the background that you have just taken the viewers on and the rest of South Africa on, is that the committee and the parties that was expected to perform certain functions and activities to realize that objective are unable to do so. So if they are unable, what do? You look into the mechanisms that you have within your constitution. Alternatively was to go back to court. But to go back to court and say we are unable, you must also tell the court if there's no mechanism alternative in your own constitution to do that.
So, which brings me back to my original question about whether you were acting unilaterally, because was the rest of the stakeholders, the executive, consulted prior to this decision being arrived at?
No. That provision is quite clear on its 14.2. It talks to an event where a particular situation arises. And now the question should be whether that situation arose or not. And I'm of the opinion, and given the background of my letter, to say that if I have to sit down, we are not going to have a national conference in August, and the party will be in crisis again and in disarray. I have to protect the party. I have a duty as the president of the organization, and the Constitution allows me to do that.
So what then becomes of the party and party structures between now and that Congress being held?
The party structure at the national level is there's the administrator with 2 assistants, and at the provincial level there are coordinators, 2, each one from different sections, if you like. At the regional structure, the same. The branches, there's no decree, or there's not, the section 14.2 does not apply, because that's where the activities in preparation for the Congress exist. So effectively, members of the PAC and democracy remain quite open. It's just those structures that were in parallel and were in a state where they cannot organize, for instance, a successful national Congress. If you have parallel structures, each one still not cooperating with each other at the provincial level, at the regional level, and at the national level, you cannot have a successful national conference. So those, in the event that that situation arose, you have to make sure that you basically deal with that, and that's what has happened.
So you have then appointed the administrators who will then oversee this particular process. Are you expecting any sort of pushback from others within the party who may feel that they are aggrieved, given that you are taking these decisions, as you said, as president of the organization, without necessarily consulting with anyone else?
No, it's not because, no, the consultation has gone on. I've communicated with everybody over a period of time. I've alerted them in writing. I said, guys, if you don't reach an agreement, and if you do not come to a point where the roadmap is clear, the consequences is that the 14.2 will be invoked. Now, that they've been warned well in time. And I do not expect that. The members of the PAC are disciplined, or they're expected to be disciplined. We have a disciplinary code. If they're unhappy, they know what to do with their unhappiness within the organization. So that shouldn't arise. Now, in the event it arises, there will be consequences, obviously.
What sort of consequences?
No, look, people, our constitution states quite clear that if a person has an issue, you need to take it properly within that administrator. He must be able to record whatever he's unhappy with, and the administrator and his assistants should be able to deal with that. But you can't go outside the organization to deal with issues of the organization.
So from here on in, Mr. Moloto, what is the next step for the PAC?
The next step is that we are having a congress in August, and as originally stated, nothing has changed insofar as concerned. The administrator and the coordinators in provinces and regions and branches, they will then be working together in order to verify the branches, to make sure that the delegates, those branches are having delegates to represent them in the national conference. Now, that process of verification will be done inclusively. No one will be excluded. Well, and it will be done by the administrator, coordinators, and the branch leadership.
All right. And Mr. Moloto, I will inform you that we will be speaking to other members of the PAC who claim that there was no consultation and that you are, in fact, acting unilaterally in this regard.
In that regard, I would also like to send you and show that the proof of such consultation, if it is necessary, this should not even have the dispute, because in the event that arises, then the consent of the PAC would not be respected. That would not be acceptable.
So do tune in at 7:10 around that sort of time, Mr. Moloto, where we will be speaking to other members of the PAC who charge that you are acting unilaterally and that you have not consulted in coming to this decision to place the organization under decree in order to get to that August Congress. But also, just before I let you go, I think it would be remiss if we do not reflect on the passing of Dini Sobukwe, who was the son of the founding member of the PAC. Just in closing, your remarks on that, please.
Look, we are very saddened by the passing of Dini Sobukwe, the son of the founding president of the PAC. We're looking forward that he will carry the legacy of the parents and the family. So we are really saddened, and we pass our condolences to the family, sisters and children.
Well, Mr. Narius Moloto, thank you so much. And that was PAC President Narius Moloto talking to us about the executive decision that has been taken for the party to be dissolved and to go to Congress in August. Well, we'll be speaking to Apapoe after 7 to get his side on the other faction of the PAC regarding this particular situation.